Hey everybody, how you doing? It's me, Mike. Welcome to tonight, December 17th in IncrediChat. The week before Christmas, we're going here. And tonight we've got a really fun guest here. Those of you, who know me and know IncrediCon and the things that we've done and the things I've been involved with. I'm a big Muppet fan. And, fortunately, we've had so many great Muppet people who have worked with us over the years. So tonight we want to welcome to IncrediChat the co-owner of the Muppet blog, Tough Pigs, probably the best place to get any kind of Muppet information on the World Wide Web. Hey, Ghostwriter Taylor. Please welcome tonight, Joe Hennes.
Right. Hello.
Hey, welcome to IncrediChat, Joe.
Great to be here. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone watching. Good to see you guys. I can't see anyone out there.
Well, we have a commenting, and I should put up the banner, but it's easy. Go to toughpigs.com. That's where they'll find everything that you guys. It's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the website. I mean, you're everywhere, right?
We're everywhere. We try to be everywhere. We're not on TikTok yet because we're old people.
So for those, I'm sure there's some people here who may not know exactly what is a tough pig and what is toughpigs.com. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what the website is.
Oh, man. Well, that's a big question. Thank you. My good friend James is telling me I need a haircut. Sorry, James. You need a haircut. So what is Tough Pigs? Tough Pigs is it's a website. It started in 2001. My good friend Danny Horn, and Danny ran the website for a few years. This is after some of our old timers might know Muppet Zine from the mid 90s. It was like a print zine that you would get in the mail. The mail, by the way, is like a service that things would come to your mailbox. Well, that's a different website, a different blog. We'll talk about that another time. So basically, he started this website in 2001 and ran it for about 5 years, and then he left Pigs to start a new website called the Muppet Wiki. Muppet fans probably know what that is. And when me and my co-site runner Ryan Rowe realized that this website might be around much longer, everybody's there to run it, we asked Danny, hey, do you mind if we just do it? And he was like, sure, here's the keys of the castle. And we've been running the ship since like 2006, give or take. Basically it's just a one-stop place for Muppet news, Muppet commentary, interviews, reviews, videos, podcasts, art spotlights. We try to do everything. The nice thing about running a Muppet fan site is there's not many other Muppet fan sites out there. And, we get to kind of be kings of the castle in that regard. But obviously, there are some other great Muppet fan sites out there that we are very good friends with. It's a small, tight-knit community. Does that pretty much answer your question? I feel like I ramble a little bit.
No, absolutely. And I know, like you mentioned, there are a bunch of Muppet websites. It's funny, like today, was it today? Yesterday, after getting all my supplies for the storm, I ended up watching It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie from NBC, right? And Ghostwriter wants to know if you ever interviewed Janice. I don't know if you guys did.
No, I've never met Janice. I hear she's nice.
Yes, but it was funny. Like I was watching the Christmas movie, because I'm cruising through all my holiday specials, and there is that one scene while Kermit's in the park and he's talking to David Arquette, and he talks about, oh, you're from one of those online Muppet fan sites, which was funny.
So the funny thing is that actually that movie came out in that gap year between when Danny left Tough Pigs and when we took over Tough Pigs. So we were all like in the background, like Muppet fan site, we love that Muppet fan site, but like nobody was really running the site at the time. Yeah. So I guess maybe David Arquette was running it. I don't know.
But the thing is in the Muppet community, and certainly that's another thing, which, like you said, there are so many great Muppet websites out there, but really Tough Pigs, I mean, if you want Muppet information, that is the place to go. Like I know you just put up the article today, the video review of the Hallmark ornaments. You guys talk about toy. You go to Toy Fair. You go to the Comic-Cons. Like you cover everything. Like you even covered Mr. Willoughby's Christmas tree. My God.
I mean, the nice thing about Muppets is there's so much stuff.
Yes.
We will never ever hit the bottom of Muppet content, which is terrifying. The concept of infinity is terrifying, but it does give us a lot to talk about, especially because like Muppets aren't always doing stuff. There's not always like a new thing to review or write commentary about. So it's nice to be able to look back at 65, 70 years of history.
Yeah, and the new stuff as it comes, because I mean there is stuff here and there that comes out with the Muppets, more so with some characters than others, but
that's true. Yep.
But
and you asked me earlier, what is a tough pig? And it's not really like a real definition of what a tough pig is. I kind of define it as just being a hardcore fan. But the whole idea of really the first half, the tough part. Piggy is the original tough pig, but we are tough specifically because we have opinions. And there's a lot of there's a lot of sites out there, not Muppet sites, but a lot of fan sites out there who would say, just because something is new, just because something is official, then we have to love it. It's made for us, therefore we love it. And that's not necessarily true with the Muppets. The Muppets have a lot of things that we don't like. You mentioned Mr. Willoughby's Christmas tree, which might be one of the worst things the Muppets have ever made, and we love talking about it.
I like Mr. Willoughby.
Do you?
I think, I mean, like, and just on his side, and we'll talk more about Christmas shows in a minute. Leslie, you mentioned about like, you didn't write, but some of the other contributors did, and like Leslie Nielsen was such a missed opportunity in that.
It's true.
But his accent is funny.
So. Yeah, there's a few funny things in that. We tend to share the a couple of the clips of Robert Downey Jr., who
oh my god
is not in his best state of mind when he was filming that. So there's some comedy gold in that, but I think it's unintentional.
Yeah. No, definitely. So the other thing too, and we got one of the great contributors to Tough Pigs here. Smig is on here right now.
Yes, Chris Smigliano. Hi, Chris. Hi, Smig. We call him Smig. I don't. I felt weird calling you Chris now. I don't like it. Smig actually goes way back. He predates me by many years in the Muppet fan community, because he created a lot of art for Muppet Zine that I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. That's how he and Danny met. And then when Danny started Tough Pigs, he enlisted Smig to create the art on the front page of the website, the logo and such. And when we took over, we kept Smig because he's the best. If you go to Spigs.com, all the art, our logo, everything on the sidebar, it's all Smig. He's also just like a machine when it comes to making these brilliant, hysterical Muppet comics that he's putting onto his Twitter. And it's Smig is he's an amazing artist. He's hysterical. He knows Smig, I don't know how you do it. Your brain is in an amazing place. Like, you come up with these puns and these references and things that I would have never thought of a million years, but they seem so obvious after you make them. So I recommend following him on Twitter at Smigliano, or keep an eye on Tough Pigs. We're always sharing his work because he's the best. So we're happy to have you on the team.
Yeah, and I mean, and as we're sitting here talking about Smig, the first and foremost, talking about websites, you guys with the website that you run, it really, is, I would say, supported and loved by all facets of the Muppet, the actual Muppet community, the folks at the community, the folks at Disney, the folks at Henson. They've all been very giving to you guys because, it's funny, somebody mentioned about interviewing Janice, and I mean, you guys really have run the gamut of kind of interviewing everybody. You interview Constantine, my God.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Interviews are hard, and before we really got into podcasting, which we do a lot of podcasting now, so that's changing. But before that, interviews were hard for us because we liked. This is the older days of the internet. We liked to transcribe all of our interviews, and there was just so much work involved, and so we did them for a while, and we kind of slowed down. So there are people like David Rudman, who plays Janice, performs Janice, and we've never interviewed him, and we should. We have a great relationship with David. We'll get around to it one of these days. But yes, the Muppet performers, the writers, the producers, the people behind the scenes, thank goodness they appreciate us, because we basically provide them with free promotion. And that's a relationship that took many, many years to really cultivate. Even when Danny was running the show, he had years between Muppet Zine and the years of Tough Pigs and the Muppet Wiki. And a lot of the people who were involved with the brand at the time didn't quite understand fandom. I'm not saying they disliked Danny or the website. They just didn't know what fandom was, or what an adult fan of Sesame Street would look like. And again, took over in 2006. It was probably around 2008 to 2009 when I really got a first like big Muppet performer interview, and it still was years out of that before they felt comfortable with us around where they could talk freely, know that we're gonna treat them fairly on the website and stuff like that. And now I'm hesitant to use the word friend because there's always going to be a divide between press and the subject, which is what we are. But we've gotten very close with a lot of them, and I feel really grateful for that. These are people that I really grew up admiring. If not them, then the legacy that they're carrying on, and they're a very big part of my life, even without having that personal connection. So that it means a lot to me that they even know who I am.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm right there with you. Like, I know a few of the performers myself, and it is very humbling. Like you said, grow up. We watch these people, and now to have relationships where we can speak with some of these people, both off and on camera. It's like it is humbling, right?
Yeah, for sure, it really is.
Incredible. But you're talking about what an adult fan of Muppets looks like too, and really until the internet, like nobody really. I mean, for any fandom for that matter. I mean, you always had the Trekkies or the Trekkers, if you will. But
right.
everything else was kind of like this little subgroup that you didn't know about. So certainly when the internet came out, the world of Muppets, obviously the fans all came together. And then certainly in this world that we had of conventions, when hopefully those all return at some point, and I mean, you've gone to a bunch of them, to see how fans interact with some of the performers who do go out there. I mean, like it's amazing. And I think even for the performers, I think it's almost mind-boggling that people look out for them like that way too. From what I
it's true. Yeah, the fandom is a whole. There's a whole gamut of different types of fans, and Muppets are no different. You look at Star Wars fans, and they go from being obviously super casual fans to people who, they've memorized movies and they've read a bunch of the books, to the people who write the Wikipedia articles and are obsessed with every little detail and spend thousands of dollars a month on merchandise or whatever. Like it's like I said, it's a whole gamut.
Somebody may have spent $350 on that Razor Crest that the Hasbro pulls. I'm not going to mention any names.
I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like there's Muppet merchandise out there that's I've spent more money than I probably should have so I could own it. But the story that comes to mind again, like some of these Muppet people, it has taken seeing them, working with them several times before I get to a point where like, oh no, they know I'm cool. They know I'm not a weirdo just because I run this website or whatever.
Exactly.
I've met Dave Goles several times, usually in passing. I finally got to where like he knows who I am. It's not like we're friends or anything like that. But Dave Goles, who don't know, he performs Gonzo and Bunsen Honeydew and a bunch of other characters on the Muppets, and has since the 70s. And now when I see him, he usually says to me, "Do you remember that one event we were both at where there was a woman who dressed as Gonzo and she was the weirdest person?" And it just goes on and on about this weird lady. And it's just like he just didn't understand her. But like the truth is, behind the scenes, she and I are not all that different. Yes, we go about our fandom in very different ways. But like we're both huge fans of this brand and this character and this performer. But one of us gets to talk to Dave Goles, the other one gets to be talked about by Dave Goles.
And that was at that Henson Film Festival in Huntington, Long Island.
Were you there?
I was there.
Yep, that's the one. That's the first time I ever met Dave Goles, and now he remembers that. So now we get to talk about that lady.
I believe it because he was doing a Q&A with Muppets from Space. I believe it was.
Something like that, yeah.
She was in there. Yeah, I remember. And that was I mean, I think she was the only person cosplaying. So if she's out there, you're remembered by.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man.
Great. We do have one question for you because I do want to go into a couple other things, but Nathan Bailey wants to ask, how do you feel about the shadow puppets from the Sesame Street series?
I'm not sure exactly what shadow puppets you're referring to, but I will say, Nathan, when I was a kid, whenever Sesame Street went to anything but puppets, I was so upset. Like, I remember, I mean, there were some of the anime segments that I very much enjoyed, and today, of course, I love almost all of them. But as a kid, like whenever they would switch to like one of those like a Joe Raposo song over like a bunch of like hippos or flamingos or whatever,
the farm or whatever, right?
Yeah, like that stuff, I hated it. Like, I don't know why we were wasting our time when Bert and Ernie were just waiting by the sidelines. Drove me crazy.
No, I was the same way as a kid too. It's like I'd rather see the comedy bits. It's funny. I was on Tough Pigs the other day too, and I was just going through some of the old articles, and I was watching. I've seen it before, but I was watching that TED Talk with Joey Mazzarino about the comedy. Yeah. Because I mean, when you really think about this, like I mean, Jim and Frank and what they did with Ernie and Bert, I mean, that was like pure comedy.
They were hands down one of the greatest comedy duos of all time.
Yeah.
All time. There's no question. I'm not saying this because I'm a Muppet fanatic or that I Muppet fan site. It's like you put them up against, your whatever, Martin and Lewis or your Abbott and Costellos or whatever. It's just like Jim and Frank, they are right up there. It's a shame that they're not recognized as such, like in the comedy worlds, or rather in the broader comedy worlds. I'm sure that people who really know comedy know what their contributions were, but let's get everyone talking about them the same way.
No, absolutely, and like even just the Muppets as in general, it like. Maybe back in the 80s, like they were looked at like a Monty Python kind of troupe. And, like people kind of forget about, I mean, people think, at least what I see, people think about like the kiddie aspect of the Muppets. People automatically go, oh, Sesame Street or Muppet Babies. But like you look back to the early works of Jim and the Muppet Show, really, like there was a lot of adult humor in that. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. But also the fact that they were able to do such amazing comedy without having to go, it's not even going blue. It's like going a light blue, like without going adult, without like, it's like you've got your Wilkins commercials or violent, and you've got your early Muppet, pre-Muppet Show stuff. They were trying to be a little bit raunchy, to try to get that adult audience interested. But like even Sesame Street, Bert and Ernie are a just hysterical duo. Even though they're just talking about like the letter D, like it doesn't matter. Like that's how like they don't have to resort to a wink and a nudge. About like something kind of sexy or something kind of violent or something kind of scary. Mm-hmm. They could have taken any kind of content and they could have spun gold out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just the way Ernie is such a nudge to Bert constantly, just like he's digging at him.
That's right.
That's really. James said here he loved a Crayon Factory and a Llama Dentist.
Yes, good choices, James.
And then Smig said he hated Buddy and Jim.
That's true. James, I do want to say about the Crayon Factory. Our mutual friend, James, or Joe Powell, who James went to high school with, he and I went to the Crayola Factory when we were in high school, and that was all I was thinking about was that Crayon Factory sketch from Sesame Street.
That's funny. Now, I want to ask you, and I know you guys are touching upon this a little right on Tough Pigs now, talking about the comedy of the Muppets and going blue. What do you really feel about that show that they did a couple of years ago, the ABC show? I liked it. We just watched it. My girlfriend and I. She had never seen it before. She's not a big Muppet fan, and I showed it to her, and she actually was getting into it, and she's like, "Wow, this isn't half bad." Like, what do you think?
Well, if you want to know my real thoughts about it, we actually are publishing a podcast about that show right now. We're going episode by episode. Me and cohort Ryan are taking turns with episodes. We just published, I want to say the 10th episode out of 15. So, most of it's already up. We'll finish it out in January. But in any case, the show at the time was hey, there they are. At the time I kind of liked it. I think I was a little bit blinded by like, hey, there's new Muppet stuff on my screen. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, and that's okay. Like, I'm not saying I'm the be all end all of what Muppet content should be, but I think I knew that it had promised to be better, and it got canceled before it got to that point.
Well, those last 2 or 3 episodes were really solid, and then
they were figuring it out, and really what it was those last few episodes, they were getting closer to what the Muppet Show was, which tells me that like maybe this format isn't the best for the Muppets. Maybe the Muppet Show is the best format for the Muppets. I will say the biggest test for me of if I like something or not is like how much I think about it when it's done. And that show ended 5 years ago, and I've hardly thought about it for more than 5 seconds at a time. Like it's nothing. It's nothing, and it has nothing to do with the fact that it was too dark, which it was, or too cynical, which it was,
and
or not enough.
Too mean because Piggy was a bitch in the beginning of it, right?
Piggy was really a really difficult character to watch for the majority of that series.
Yeah.
They figured her out partway through, but they made her the villain, and there was no way to kind of get her to bounce back. It was all the fact that they were all miserable. That whole show, every character is miserable, and they do not want to be there. Whereas on the Muppet Show, it's like, well, they're still making a bad show, but they love it. Yeah. Like that's why we love watching them fail on the Muppet Show. Watching them fail on the Muppets, the sitcom, was torture.
The true highlight for me, and I think for everybody else, the true highlight from that show by far, Uncle Deadly.
Well, I mean,
what they did to him, but I mean, he's like the
Uncle
best
Deadly. Yeah. So I've talked to Matt Vogel about this. We have a great interview with him on our podcast where he really talks about Uncle Deadly in detail and how it's rare that you get a character that previously exists. This character is established in this community, but is more or less can be used as a blank slate because we don't know him well enough to say, well, that's not something he would say, or that's not something he would do. So Matt Vogel is able to just take him in any direction. Like he's kind of scary, and he's kind of this fashionista, and he's kind of a fancy man, but he's also kind of a slob, and he's really strong when dealing with Piggy, but also like he's Piggy's number 2. Like there's a lot of like weird balancing going on that Matt needs to play with, and it's one of those things where if the Muppets had a regular TV show like the Muppet Show, where we could just try characters and not just test a character once and see what happens, but have them come back over and over again and develop the character, then you can create more of these classics. That's why people are talking about Uncle Deadly so much, because it's rare for the Muppets. And unfortunately, she didn't get the screen time post sitcom as Deadly did, but Yolanda, same situation. Yolanda the Rat is, if you rewatch that 2015 sitcom, it's hysterical. Everything she says is hysterical.
Well, like even her whole plot. I just pulled up the picture from the Christmas episode. The plot of that with the Secret Santas, that was brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, she needs more screen time, and why not? Like, why not give New Zealand more screen time or whatever? Like, we don't need to get his backstory or anything like that, but let him get in there and do something weird, and and suddenly people are going, where's this New Zealand guy been in my whole life?
Yeah, and I mean, and we're talking about the ABC series, but then you even think about that Muppets Tonight, the previous ABC series.
Sure.
Like at the end of that show too, they were finding their footing, and all of a sudden canceled.
Yeah, Muppets Tonight's weird. That's a weird animal. A lot of the ways they were finding the footing, and in a lot of ways the show was kind of floating on itself, I think, in my opinion. It was trying to be a lot of different things. And its biggest downfall was probably being part of TGIF. Like it was trying a little too hard to be edgy, but also family friendly. Yeah. And that's that's Brian Henson in a nutshell. Like I think we all kind of know his, not by now, his personal humor is a little bit more blue, and that's perfectly fine. But this was a TGIF show, so it has to be okay for 6-year-olds. So how do you walk that balance, and where does the show go? And it just didn't have a consistent voice.
Yeah. But I think, like you're saying, the voice, I think towards the end, like we got like some of the characters who really shined from that. You know, obviously Pepe came from.
That's right.
Towards the end, we really got to see more of Bobo. I mean, Johnny and Sal, which I miss Johnny and Sal so much, but like the storyline with them and Johnny's ma, like those are some great moments on that show.
And what you just described is just Bill Beretta. Bill Beretta as a new performer. Yeah, Bill Beretta came in as a new performer to the Muppet troupe, to the main Muppet troupe, and created these characters. And again, because they don't have 30 years of history, or at this point 40 years of history, he's able to do whatever he wants to them, and he can create these really iconic characters. Now, again, if the Muppets had a regular TV show where they could play and maybe bring in some new performers to their central troupe who can really kind of toy with characters outside of Kermit and Biggie and Fozzie and Animal, then, you know, like, I mean, Julianne Boucher, who plays Wanda, and she was Denise on the 2015 show, you know, to have her, and she's really funny and creative because she was also on the live Puppet Up shows. Like, she would be a great, you know, actual, you know, full-time, whatever you want to call it, member of the Muppet troupe, because then she can start working on some really great female characters, which they're desperately in need of as well.
Absolutely. The one thing too, I think, and this has been discussions with various people over the years that, you know, and reading articles online, you know, the Kermit and Piggy story. Right? How many times it's an on again, off again thing? You know, there's such a rich group of characters, like you mentioned in New Zealand. Like, I think they should do like a VH1 behind the music of the Electric Mayhem. That'd be a fantastic like hour special. You know,
for sure.
Like the little niches of these characters.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Yes and no. I think there's certain characters you want to know everything about. Electric Mayhem is a great example of that.
Yeah.
You know, they're so weird, and you know, there's 5 of them. You know, you could really fill an hour or whatever you want to.
I wouldn't say more than,
but maybe a half hour. but you mentioned well, I will say then there's other characters. And I feel like actually Uncle Dudley is one of these. I don't want to know where Uncle Dudley lives. I don't want to know what his childhood was like. He's such a bizarre character. Once you start defining that, then it limits him too much.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say going as far as that, but just like, you know, having an adventure. And I think they kind of tried that with Muppets from Space a little bit, you know, trying to focus more on Gonzo. I mean,
Yep. I didn't want to know where he was from. I didn't want to know that he was an alien. I like that he's, you know, unknown. He's an asterisk, you know.
Yeah.
It's the same as like, you know, this is getting off topic, but like last year's Joker movie. I don't want to know where the Joker comes from. I don't want to know his origins. He's a force of nature. He's like anarchy and chaos, and once you give him a backstory, then like he's a person. He's just some guy in makeup. Like, nah, that doesn't work for me.
That's not the mystique is gone, and the Gonzo, the mystique was gone. And I don't. I mean, would you even count that movie as Muppet canon now? Because they really don't talk about it.
They definitely don't talk about it because it's not good. But I will say my favorite explanation comes from Muppet Show comic book, which is like 10 years old now, by Roger Longridge. And there's one issue where Scooter is trying to figure out what Gonzo is, and so he's falling around, and you know the whole subplot is just, you know, Scooter trying to figure this out, and eventually he's comes to Gonzo. He's like, I can't figure it out. He's like, Gonzo, just tell me, what are you? And Gonzo goes, isn't it obvious? I'm an artist. And it's like,
there you go.
That's who Gonzo is. I love it. Perfect.
There you go. Yeah, so we got. Please forgive me. We have some comments about Bill Beretta here from Sirgini Nyase. I apologize. I messed up your name. You have a couple of comments. He said Bill Beretta is amazing. His favorite characters are Pepe, Rolf, Bobo, Carl, and he was the jackal from Kim Possible. I did not know he's on Kim Possible. Interesting.
Yeah, me either.
And then he also mentioned about the folks that were on Cliff's Nightmare, which was a brilliant episode of the Cosby Show. You know, for what it is.
I rewatched it maybe like 6 months after Bill Cosby went to jail. Yeah. And it was like, I thought I could laugh with it, and it's just like, oh, it just felt so weird. It just felt so weird that Bill Cosby has unfortunately been so involved with so many different projects that we just can't enjoy ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
I will also say that's the least like sacrifice that I can make. You know, there are people out there who have been very, very hurt by that man, and I am okay with abandoning, like, the Sesame Street special that he's on, and
Oh my God, that's
this
right.
one episode of, I mean, whatever, forget it.
But I mean, I'm just going back to Cliff's Nightmare. My favorite part of Cliff's Nightmare is that was Jim Henson Hour. That was the characters from that show, and I enjoyed the Jim Henson Hour, as we're talking about.
I love the Jim Henson Hour. There's something really unique about it. That's a terrible way to describe something. It's very unique. No, there's something where you could see Jim Henson playing and testing, and some things work and some things don't. That's another one of those shows where, like, he did like 3 or 4 seasons. It's just not even like figure it out into what show they want to create, like any other TV show, but to figure out what that show could do. Like, rather than define it and put it into a box, that show had the potential to be a million different things.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a shame that, like, I mean, I know Jim Henson passed away, but soon after that show came out, but it was supposedly, it was canceled before he passed. So they're going to get a second season anyway. Yeah. So it's a shame. I'm glad we have what we have. You know.
I enjoy it. And I mean, because we're mentioning that too, like the unaired episodes, that Nickelodeon aired the unaired episodes, like The Secret of the Muppets. Right. I can't think of the other one, but there were like 2 or 3 of them. And, again, so many characters on there. Like, I mean, we got, even though Bean Bunny was around prior to that, but we got him, we got Clifford from that. And then there were like all these other new characters like Vicky, Digit, who kind of just like disappeared. Digit.
I love Digit. Digit was such an interesting looking character. There's a lot of potential there. I don't know if we'll ever see him again, but
video game.
You never know. That's true. He made an appearance in Muppet Party Cruise, so we'll always have that.
I'll have to send you a picture. It's funny. Like, that was when at that show in Huntington with Dave Goles. That was the first time I had met him, and I printed up a picture, and Fran Brill was there too, and Kevin Clash, and I had printed up the picture of Jim on the TV with all the characters in the screen, and I had the 3 of them sign that. So Dave says to me, he's like, wow, this is the first time I've ever had to sign for Digit. So how would his signature look? So so that was kind of
that's true. For people who don't know, like the Muppets all have very specific signatures, and they, some of them are kind of have little pun jokes in them, and some of them, like I know that when they get like a new performer for a Muppet, the Muppet performer has to learn how to do the exact same signature that the previous one did.
Actually, here it is. I'll pull up. Here, the guys, exclusive tonight. All right, so I'm gonna share my full screen, just so we can pull it up there. But there it is.
Hey.
And there's I guess, did he sign? I don't know if Kevin signed Leon's thing there. But
yeah, I see that there. Yeah.
But there's Digit signature. So.
Wow.
a very unique signature to have.
So if they ever bring Digit back and then for some reason performed by someone else, you're going to need to provide that so that they can learn how to do Digit signature.
Yes, Muppet Forgery, Floyd ripoff. Beard sounded like a Floyd ripoff. I see that.
Beard, yes, the character Beard. Yeah, why did they have Beard in there and not Floyd? I mean, Jerry Nelson was right there.
Yeah, and it wasn't. No, who was in? Wasn't, I'm trying to think. Somebody was in. Gosh, it's been a while since I watched Jim Henson Hour. Zoot was there. I know
Zoot is in there. I don't think any of the other Electric Mayhem members were there.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right, because I forget the character that Steve played, the guy with the mullet. Oh, jeez. But
did he have a name? I don't know.
I think he had a name. Flash. That was his name.
All right.
Flash.
There you go.
Yeah, so gosh. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about Christmas shows tonight. Christmas Eve is a week from today. And we already mentioned the holiday episode of the Muppets, the ABC show. Mike, have you ever been to the Museum of the Moving Image? Yes, I have been, and I know Joe's been there many times as well.
Many times, I love it. Yeah, great museum. They do great things. Can I just plug real quick? Tomorrow, Friday, Museum of the Moving Image is doing a Muppet Christmas special. It's only like $10 to stream it. Mm-hmm. Cheryl Henson, Dave Goles, and the Henson Company archivist Karen Falk will all be there to present stuff, not prevent stuff. They will be presenting stuff. So I'm going to be watching. I think it's going to be dope. So y'all should tune in.
Yeah, and I'm so and and I just pulled up a picture of Jim and his holiday friends there. But yeah, just another thing about the moving image. Once the world reopens, I mean, go and support them. They're doing these online things that Joe just mentioned. They've been doing things pretty regularly through the pandemic, but once they reopen, go and support it, because outside of Muppets, there's so many other great things, and they do so many great events there. Prior to that exhibit, they had the temporary one, but Joey, I know you were at all these things too. Like almost every weekend, they had something going on. It was amazing.
It was so good. It was so good. It was well worth every penny of the membership.
Yeah. And he's mentioning here, Sarah Jean, I think that's how you say it. Stephanie D'Abruzio, Craig Shemin, they're always there. Because but Leslie Correa Rudolph, she's at a lot of these. Carmen Ashbar, John Kennedy, Bob McGrath. I mean, pretty much everybody who's who with Henson and Muppets and Sesame, they've passed through those doors.
Yeah, it's become like the meeting place for Muppet fans.
Yeah, which is really perfect, because I always think about the home for the Muppets is New York, whether it be the Kermit and the Gang or the Sesame. Like they fit into New York nicely. I mean,
they took it.
Yeah,
they took the whole island of Manhattan.
They did. I mean, you guys posted something about the Muppets taking New Jersey, right? I'm hoping that happens.
Yeah, maybe one of these days. Right. I think Calgary is next. Yeah.
But yeah, so here's a picture of Jim and Big Bird, Piggy, and Gobo, and Kermit, of course. And now this is.
I love how Gobo is just kind of poking up in the background, like we're not supposed to see him. He kind of slipped into the picture.
Oh, show. I forgot to get I forgot to pull up a picture from John Denver. But yeah, so obviously the Muppets loved the holidays.
Sure.
And there are so many great Christmas specials. I pulled this up because this has a little bit of everybody in there. But what is like your top Henson Christmas special?
Okay, I have two answers really for this. Okay. I mean, the be all end all of actual good quality Henson Christmas special is Muppet Family Christmas. Nothing beats it, because it's got Muppets, it's got Sesame, it's got Fraggles. It's hysterical. Songs are great. It's as my friend Anthony said recently, it's like Jerry Jewell finished the script and then wept there were no more lands to conquer. I mean, it's a perfect hour of television. It's wonderful, and I love it. My other answer is a special that not many people have seen and fewer people have enjoyed. It's called A Special Sesame Street Christmas. I don't know if you're aware of this one.
Michael Jackson.
Do you have a photo for it?
I don't have. I have the DVD. I have the DVD.
So picture this. All right, little bit of history. So a lot of people are aware of Christmas Eve on Sesame Street, which is also a phenomenal Christmas special, and I watch it every year. The same year that they produced that, same year they filmed that, a third-party company came to Sesame and said, "I want to do a Christmas special with the Sesame characters." And Sesame said, "Well, we're already doing one, but if we do two, then maybe one of them will make it air," which is a weird thing to think. Like nowadays, like you film it and it goes on TV. You don't maybe put it on TV. So they filmed two specials, and the irony becomes one of them becomes one of the greatest Christmas specials of all time. The other one is a load of garbage. It's just awful. So okay, there's they only got two puppeteers in this whole thing. So it's Big Bird and Oscar, and then someone playing Bartley. For like a second. These celebrities are like Ethel Merman, who calls someone an idiot at one point, and one of the Smothers brothers. They didn't get both of them. Yeah, there it is. And they got Michael Jackson is in it for like a hot second, like a young Michael Jackson, like post. I think it's like the end of his Jackson 5 time. They got Henry Fonda, who comes on screen, and he has some line about lug nuts and walks off, and that's it. That's his whole appearance. Got Christmas classics such as Yakety Yak, great Christmas song Yakety Yak, and
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow from Annie. Ethel Merman sings that, and oh my gosh, Leslie Uggams, like sings a love song to Oscar. Like she falls in love with Oscar, and like the plot doesn't make any sense, and the jokes don't land. They obviously like needed a rewrite, and they never got it. Mr. Hooper is in it at the beginning and then disappears halfway through. It's like Will Lee was like, "I'm good. I'm just gonna go home." It's awful. I love it so much. There's nothing better than like Meg is saying in the comments. It's Sesame equivalent to the Star Wars Holiday Special, which is 100% accurate.
And it was around that time.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's wonderful. It's if you have access to it, I highly recommend watching it because it's a spectacle.
Yeah, and I mean it is on DVD, so I'm sure I don't know if it's currently in print. You can probably find a used copy on eBay, but I'm sure someone has downloaded that or parts of it onto YouTube. But yeah, it's an interesting special.
Yes, it is.
Nothing for Christmas like Ethel Merman. I just want to pull up and talking about Muppets tonight, and we mentioned it earlier. Like I like this one. It's a very Merry Muppet Christmas movie.
Yeah, I'm probably overdue for a rewatch. Look at Robin's arm sock there. You can see Jerry Nelson's whole arm there. Rizzo too.
Not a well cropped picture from there.
No, that's not good. But
Fozzie looks hunched over. What's going on there? Jeez.
It's not oh yeah, he's got a dead arm. It's not a great special in my opinion, and I think the main reason is they tried to be really hip and topical. Like there's a lot of references to like the Crocodile Hunter and
yes.
Gosh, I don't even remember. There's the Grinch and stuff like that. Like movie The Grinch, I mean Jim Carrey movie. But there's moments in there that are great. Like I think all the stuff with like the world where Kermit was reborn, I think is great. Yeah. I think there are a lot of jokes that land really well. It's not bad. I can't say it's a bad special by any means, but I think whenever they're making a Muppet production that is post Jim Henson, it's an uphill battle. Scooter in a cage. Right, Scooter does some cage dancing, so that's a thing. But yeah, it's like I say, it's an uphill climb to try to compare to anything that happened in Jim's time, because when Jim Henson was around, it was all about experimenting and play and the funniest thing possible. And then like this is more like, well, what does NBC want? What will sell merchandise? What will fit into the overall umbrella of the Disney Corporation? And I think that's tough, especially when you don't have someone like Jim Henson to run the ship. Yeah. Who was in charge of Muppet when Very Merry Muppet Christmas came out? I have no idea.
Because that was written by Jim Lewis, I believe that one was.
Good question. I don't know.
I don't know offhand. I don't think it was Kirk. I don't think Kirk Thatcher wrote that one. I think Jim Lewis.
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Because I know I had Kirk on a few months ago. We were talking about the different incarnations, and it's funny you mentioned this, whether it be NBC or Disney, and it's funny. Like, so NBC did it there. Disney did it with the movie. I mean, granted, it's the same story about how are we going to save the theater, right?
Yeah, right.
But both of those films are taking place in that theater, and as you said earlier, this is where the Muppets belong. So if like these two movies came out and they said, okay, this is going to serve as our pilot, like the Very Merry Christmas movie, this is our pilot, and we're going to go forward with a new Muppet show, then maybe there would have been something good out of that, right?
I don't think so. I don't think, because I think what you're talking about is more just the setting. Yeah. We don't really see much of, like in Very Merry Muppet Christmas, we see them do
their Christmas
Moulin Rouge. Yeah, the Moulin Rouge spoof, and in the movie, the 2011 movie, like we see a little bit of like some of the stuff they put on stage at the end, which is some of the best stuff in the movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
But really, it's everything else that, like, I can see someone saying we're making a show out of that, and it's going to be about the Muppets trying to get their theater back, and it's like that's not what we wanted you to see.
I wouldn't say make the series about getting the theater back, but like now they've got the theater back. Now we're going to do the Muppet Show.
So what's funny about that is in earlier version of the script for the 2011 movie, the Jason Segel movie, it ended with like they make the money back. You know, they save the theater, and Kermit says, "And you know what? We're bringing the Muppet Show back. It's going to be on ABC Thursdays at 8:00." And apparently the Disney execs read the script and they said to Jason Segel, "Nice try." But even like I met James Bobin, who directed those movies that in Muppets Most Wanted at the premiere of Muppets Most Wanted, and we kind of asked him like, "What's next?" And he's like, "Honestly, our goal is get the Muppet Show back. That's what they want. They don't want more. Of course, they want more movies. More movies are always good, but like the Muppets in their natural habitat, right. It's either the Muppet Show or a Studebaker."
There you go. I mean, and like, you know, it's so funny because that's clearly, you know, what some of these people who are making these films want. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably what the puppeteers want.
Right. There's not much of a limb there. They have been very clear that that's exactly where the Muppets would be able to grow best. You know, I mean that's best for them and the puppets. I mean, the characters.
And it's just like they get so close, and then no, you know,
right. Right. I mean, what they really need, is someone like Kevin Feige, who's the guy who runs the Marvel brands for film and TV, to come in and say, okay, we're coming up with a plan. We're gonna get like 2022 is gonna be the Muppet Show, and then 2024 we're gonna have the movie, and then we're gonna have a special here and a special there, and like really kind of plot this stuff out, and then just commit to it. Because what we end up with, what we've had for the last 10 years is Muppets come out with a project, then we wait and see. People like it, do not like it. What did they like about it? What didn't they like about it? Are they buying merchandise? Do we forget to put merchandise out there? That's okay. We'll get it next time. Okay. Yeah. 4 years later, another Muppet project. Did people like it? Did they not like it? And so with all that, not only are there these huge gaps in between Muppet projects, but you have to remind people who the Muppets are, because this is in the 1980s. Muppets aren't the biggest thing in the world, and we kind of have to continually reintroduce them over and over and over again, and that damages the brand. We need a constant presence. I think that's why the Marvel movies do as well as they do. I mean, other than the obvious reasons, but like, it's constant. Like there's always another one to look forward to. There's always a tag at the end of this one that ends in May, telling us about the one that's going to come out in July, and like everyone's just riding that wave together.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, even you look at a property like Scooby-Doo, you know, and God knows there's been so many different incarnations of Scooby-Doo, but you know, like you said, they with the Muppets, we do one project and then wait and then do another one. Like Scooby-Doo, like, you know, they do Be Cool Scooby-Doo, which is a completely different version than Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which is a completely different version of a pup named Scooby-Doo, and it just there's like just a constant content pulling it out, you know, so people know who Scooby and the gang are. You know, and you're going to watch them because you're expecting that from them all the time. But there's just something new, you know, and that's what the Muppets need. Absolutely, you know, and I think Muppets now. I think there are some good parts of Muppets now. I think there are some parts that need improvement. But I mean, even like right now, this whole Zoom thing, and you saw them playing with that a little bit on Muppets Now, and then you know they did the second Disney sing along, the one where they actually sang. Right. Right. Yep. Which, of course, you know, the Muppets are going to sing the song. Oh, let's just sing the Muppet Show theme. It's that or Rainbow Connection.
Right.
But you know, it's clear everybody's got everybody at home. The Muppets are all at home right now too. You know, so they could be doing some cool Zoom content. The folks at Sesame Street have been doing all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about puppets. You know, is because they're live things, and all these puppeteers obviously have cameras in their homes, as you know, they're filming stuff for Sesame Street, can do something right away, and they can respond to what's going on in the world right now. And you can't do that with animation. You know, Scooby-Doo can't do that. Exactly.
Like I had this conversation with my girlfriend a while ago while we were watching the ABC show just about the Muppets, and I was just showing her like these bits. I mean, and you know this, the interviews back when it was Jim and Frank and nothing against the folks now, whether it had been Steve or Matt with Kermit and Eric as Piggy, but you know, you watch like these clips on the Tonight Show, or we were watching this Joan Rivers thing with with I forget if it was with Kermit or Piggy, but like you're talking about going blue. Like again, just the way that they were, and like that's what I was explaining to her is like, you can't have Scooby Doo or Bugs Bunny as a guest on the Tonight Show, but you can have Kermit there and have because for all intent and purpose, Kermit is a living, breathing thing that you can touch Kermit. You can't touch Bugs Bunny, no matter. I mean, outside of CGI, and there's so many great missed opportunities. Like thinking about current times, like this would be a great opportunity, And we saw it last year with the Facebook commercials, right? The Facebook portal, right? Like how great were those commercials? Like and how topical, little foreshadowing there to where we are now, right? And the Muppets could be connecting for the holidays and do something like nice and magical that way, through it. Interesting stuff.
It very much is, yeah.
Hey, we're not in charge of Disney, right? Maybe somebody from Disney's watching us tonight. Here's another Christmas show. I put this up because on my IncrediCon. I don't know if you've been seeing, but we've been doing 25 days of Christmas specials, right?
Yes.
I put this up. I put this up the other night, and I got so many. It was amusing. People were like, "Is that Chucky?" And you know what I'm going to talk about now when I say, "Is that Chucky?" I pulled up the Christmas toy.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's looking at Apple, and they're like, "Is that Chucky?" I'm like, no, they're like, that's really creepy.
I love the Christmas toy. That's a heck of a special. It's a shame that more people don't know it. But well, and famously, pretty much the same plot as Toy Story, but made 10 years earlier.
Someone at
Toy Story. Yep. I would love to have like a little Mew, the little mouse plush. I feel like that'd be easy to make from someone who knows how to make things.
Well, I made when this show had come out, I made a very crude Mew out of I used like 2 black buttons, and I took a gray sock and kind of just like rolled it up with little ears and stuff. So I guess that'd be a way to do it, right?
Did it smell like catnip?
It did not. It did not smell. But but not. I mean, again, a really good special, solid special, and unfortunately, maybe it is because of the copyrights. Because for a while they aired it with Kermit, without Kermit. Same thing like with Em and Otter, and I didn't even feel like Em and Otter here either. But it's one of those things that again, and holiday specials in general, there's just not a lot of. There's so many that they don't get screen time anymore.
It's true. Well, and like, I don't know who owns. I guess Henson owns Christmas Toy.
Yeah.
Do they have distribution deal for all these one-off projects where like they're going to be tossed onto Amazon or HBO Go or Disney Plus or whatever? I don't know. I assume that's something they would be interested in because that's money. But
well, that's why I think there's on Amazon right now.
Yes, it is. And Christmas Eve on Sesame Street is on HBO Go. Well, I think a lot of them are out
there.
Yeah. Or you just find your copy on DVD. That's what I like about physical media. Is I don't have to figure like, wait, did they take it off or did I have to pay for it again or whatever? It's like no. Just pop in my DVD.
You're speaking my language. With the snowstorm we had, and luckily it wasn't as bad as. I mean, maybe some areas it was. At least where I am, upstate New York, it wasn't as bad. But like that's why I buy DVDs because you know what? If cable goes out, my Blu-ray still works.
That's right. Yeah. Someone is asking, was Jerry Nelson in the Christmas Toy? And yes he was. He played Balthazar, the old teddy bear.
Yeah, and that was a really great cast in that too. I liked Brian Henson, the cab driver.
Right? Was Brian Henson the cab driver?
I believe he was. He was. Yeah.
With like that's a good example of Dave Goelz and Steve Whitmire taking the 2 leads, which was a pairing that we would see a lot over the next few years.
Yeah.
The next decade or two. I mean, that's That's actually a really good Dave Gold's spotlight as
Oh
rugby.
my God, yeah, and that also inspired, which wasn't as good, The Secret Life of Toys. I guess it was like it Disney? Somebody had that show on.
I don't know. I've never actually finished watching it because I heard about like they were kind of plagued with that production for some reason. They had to film in some other country, like
oh wow, I did not know that.
Germany or something. I don't recall.
Okay.
And they were given such an insane timeline where like they were basically filming like an episode or two a day, which is crazy. So yeah, that's I have a feeling that the quality kind of shows on the screen.
Yeah, and you had arms in that, and No More Apple, we had Raisin,
Yeah, Raisin for some reason. Yeah.
So it was a weird thing. Going back to NBC, let me just this one wasn't too bad. What did you think of this one? The
Letters to Santa. So Letters to Santa hold a special place in my heart because I was on set for a couple of days of Letters to Santa. That was like the begin. I credit that experience with being like the beginning of my work with Tough Pigs, going from like this fun thing that I do on the side to like, no, this is actually a pretty big part of my life. Because we did a big interview with Steve Whitmire while we were there. I spent 2 days on set with them, one location outside in Brooklyn, and then one while they were filming some of the airport scenes. I was there the day that Nathan Lane filmed his cameo, which was very cool, and a lot of fun. They did a lot of things where they were just fooling around on camera that would never make it into the final movie. There's parts of the stuff that movie that I do very much enjoy, and there's parts of it that I really don't, and that's a shame because I think that there's a lot of talented people involved, and I think this also comes down to what I was saying before about networks and executives and how we don't have one creative voice that is just taking charge, because I think we ended up with something that was safe. Yeah, and there's a fine line between the wholehearted Christmassy whatever that they wanted to get out of it and something very, very safe. And again, it comes down to like, so how much do you think about it afterward? Like, do you think about it? I don't. Christmas time, maybe I'll put it in. Probably not.
I'll watch. This is on my Christmas rotation. Yeah, I try and hit all the Henson stuff on Christmas, and all the Henson and all the Hanna-Barbera stuff. Sergio wrote here. David Rudman was. I guess this was 2000. This was like 2000. What? 14, 15, right?
With this movie?
No. I'm sorry. Yeah, this was 2008. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I guess this was the first time David Rudman had played Scooter, because Brian Henson had done it in the video games, and
Ricky Boyd. Yeah, Brian Henson did it for a bit. He did it in Very Merry Muppet Christmas. Ricky Boyd played Scooter in the Muppets Wizard of Oz.
And was Adam Hunt, Richard's brother, was in Muppets in Space. And I think for the Race Mania game, wasn't that Matt Vogel as Scooter and Janet? I think.
That one I'm not sure. Yeah. It could be. That's the thing, is like back then they were tossing the characters between each other until they could find the right person. And I tell you, I think Dave Rudman has done his killer job as Scooter. It helps that he was very close friends with Richard Hunt, so he gets the character really well. And we were saying before with Uncle Deadly, like he got to take it in a slightly new direction that kind of gives Scooter that new life without having to go back to like, well, he's the owner of the theater's nephew, and like that's not part of this anymore.
Scooter lives at home with Mom and Ken.
I get why people hate that. I think it's funny. I like it.
Hilarious.
But I get it. I get why people hate the Scooter Ken joke.
But let me tell you, going back to that other show, the 2015 show. One of my favorite episodes, I don't know if you guys got to it yet, is where Scooter takes Kermit to the ceramics place and the whoopsie bin and all that stuff. Yep. I think that, and then Pepe and Rizzo go there at the end, which I think that's hilarious.
It's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is
That's fine.
is creating ways, because I think part of the struggle with having characters that have been around for so long, we feel like we know them so well that all you have to do is throw them into a situation and they'll do something funny. But the truth is that you have to still give them enough motivation to do something funny within the context of a story.
Yeah.
So Scooter being the guy who just goes for the thing and is sometimes a little bit opportunistic, he was never going to stand out without Richard Hunt being there to like put his own personality into it.
Yeah.
So to give Scooter like all these anxieties and to be this like schlemazel of a guy that gets kind of crapped on here and there, and he's dealing with all this stuff at home, and he's got these troubles with women, which is a whole nother Muppets dating people is a whole nother topic, but like it's something that we kind of needed for a sitcom to give Scooter a reason for being.
Yeah. But oh my god, I think that's based on Hunt's relationship with his mother's boyfriend. That's I don't know.
I don't know either. Considering they wrote that so long after Hunt had passed away, I'm surprised if that's what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Also, because people who wrote that show, they didn't know who the puppeteers were. They weren't. Like that's very clear. They barely knew who the characters were, let alone the puppeteers.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna as for the last special that I'll pull up here. Oh, it's not even a special. And if we're gonna talk about Muppet Christmases, we cannot forget this one. And
man, Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah, this is beloved.
I am Muppet Christmas Carol is the reason I'm married to my wife.
Wow.
Because we were both on a dating website, and I had mentioned in my profile that I run a Muppet fan site. And her favorite movie of all time is Muppet Christmas Carol, and that's why we connected. And still, we watch it multiple times a year. It gets better every time I watch it. It is the best version of Christmas Carol. It's maybe the best post Jim production that the Muppets ever made. God, Michael Caine is just so killer in this movie that he plays Scrooge in a way that no one else ever has, where you could see him changing, and you could see him changing in different ways throughout. Like the tricky thing really is the fact that like this is not a Muppet movie. Muppet Christmas Carol is not a Muppet movie. Muppet Christmas Carol is a Michael Caine movie that has Muppets in it, and we are allowing the Muppets to take a step back because they're not the stars of this thing. And it's so much richer for it. And then when you come to like Muppet Treasure Island a couple years later, where they try to repeat the formula and it doesn't work because they want the Muppets to be the stars, but they're not, because Gonzo and Rizzo have no purpose of being in this movie except for to like hang around Jim Hawkins, and like Jim's not interesting enough to watch. We really just want to watch Mike. What's his
Tim
name?
Curry.
Tim Curry. And I don't know. Also, it's a bad movie. It's a really bad movie. I'm sorry, everybody. I hate Muppet Treasure Island. Not a fan.
But they did try. They did try to catch the magic. And I mean, like you said, Muppet Christmas Carol post Jim. That really was the outside of the Muppets Celebrate Jim Henson. That was really the first thing that they did after he passed. And and I guess a lot of where they were planning to go forward, came from like, can we do this movie without Jim and without Richard Hunt too, because he had passed prior to that as well.
That's true. And I mean, you could also argue that this was a Jim Henson production because they knew this was the first really big production without Jim, and you could tell everyone involved feels very strongly about doing what Jim would do, and especially Ryan Henson, and it really comes across with the quality on screen. And I believe that Jim was present for the production of that movie.
No,
in one way or another.
I can definitely agree with that. And watching, mentioning about Scrooge evolution, like the one scene that I always, just the symbolic part, whether it was intentional or not, like at that after he's redeemed at the end, he goes and he sees Bunsen and Beaker gives him his little red scarf, because now he's been in all these dark colors. Now he's got that red scarf. Like that's it's like little nuances like that.
It's so good. It's such a smart movie. And it's a good book.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so many
book.
Exactly. There's so many great versions of A Christmas Carol, and every year that is the one that when they talk about like the 5 best Christmas carols or whatever, they do all these different things this time of the year. That's always up there, and and that's why I saved it to the last one. they're restoring it with a missing scene, which really wasn't a missing scene, but it was. And
it is, though. Here's the thing: they may have removed it from the movie originally. It may not have been in the original version, but it is missing. When you watch that movie without "When Love Is Gone," doesn't matter what your opinion of the song is.
Weird cut.
It's a bad cut. You see Scrooge and Rizzo are both bawling their eyes out. You don't know why.
Yeah.
And to watch, just next time you watch this scene, Love Is Gone, watch Michael Caine go from being a little worried because he knows what's coming to like watching himself to watching her, and to see him like just like he changes right in front of you. Like he really learns something. And the point too, where like you know that at the end of the scene, he's going, I get it. I love Christmas now, or whatever it is. I appreciate Christmas, or whatever the goal trying to teach him. But that's only lesson number 1 of 3. Like he's only a third of the way there, and he's already gone from point A to point B.
Because that did.
I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but yes, like any other version of Christmas Carol, it's like Scrooge is like, oh no, that's really awful. And then he goes, well, bah humbug, I'm back to my old self. And then Christmas Present shows up, and then we do it all over again. And then he only changes when he learns that he's going to die. But like Scrooge is already a changed man several times over by the time Michael Caine sees his own gravestone. He knows that it's his gravestone, and he doesn't care that it's about him dying. He cares about this horrible human being that he's become.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm just going off in this huge tangent. I just love that movie so much.
No, but again, it's a great Muppet movie. It's a great film. Period.
Yeah.
You know,
it is. It's the only version of Christmas Carol that had the guts to put Charles Dickens into it. And that makes the difference. It really does.
This is true. This is true. Nobody has done it since. Yeah, and I probably never will again. So
no, you can't beat it. You can't beat Gonzo as Charles Dickens.
and there's my jelly beans. So many great in that movie. But yes, Joe, we've been on for a little bit over an hour now, but this was great tonight.
Great.
You know, so thank you so much again. We should definitely have you back on here again, you and bring Ryan on, and we'll pick some other Muppet. Again, there's billions of Muppet things to talk about.
We have a few topics. Like we said like an hour ago. It's this endless, bottomless pit of stuff that we just get to continue to talk about.
We could do one on Miss Piggy's smile.
Great. I do want to point out, because it's a Christmas show, I wore my Christmas sweater. I didn't get a chance to put it on camera, but look at that.
Hold on,
look at that bad boy.
There you go.
Yep. Some doozers on the sleeve.
That is great.
Sprocket on the back. You're not going to get that scene, though. You'll have to buy the sweater for it.
Well, tell everybody, where can they buy that? Plug it.
I don't know. I don't remember where I got it. I only got it a year ago. Someone else asked me that, and I searched my email for the receipt, and I couldn't remember.
Google Fraggle sweaters for Christmas.
Ugly Christmas sweater, Fraggle Rock. You'll find it.
And for everybody who wants to know more Muppet stuff, go to toughpigs.com, and then Tough Pigs on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Right? Am I missing anything?
We're also on YouTube. We do some YouTube stuff. But what else? I don't know. Should we get a TikTok? I want to get a TikTok. I can't handle it.
We do some silly Muppet related videos. So thank you so much again for joining us tonight, Joe.
Of course, thanks for having me. Let's do this again sometime. Anytime you want to talk about Muppets, I'm here, man.
Okay, cool. And just hold on a minute, and we'll go backstage in a second. I just want to plug. We originally were not going to be doing something next week, and I don't know if you're interested in this stuff, Joe. Monday we're doing a special one at 8:30. We have Rick Goldschmidt, who is the historian for Rankin Bass. So we're going to talk all those.
Oh, wow.
That's going to be a lot of fun. So
nice.
Yeah. So again, we'll see everybody on Monday. Joe, thank you so much again, and have a great night, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.